Hi, it's Kathy from Kathy's Happy Home. Welcome back for another day of Vlogmas. In our family, pumpkin pie isn't just for Thanksgiving, it's also for Christmas. The recipe we have in my family dates back to the late 1700s, early 1800s. My great-grandmother's great-grandmother used to make this in a log cabin out in the western part of what is now Philadelphia. At that time it was known as Manayunk. And it wasn't ever written down until the 1970s when my sister sat down with my great-grandmother and said, "How do you make this?" and wrote it down. It's a really old recipe that we learned how to make by making it with our great-grandmother, and she'd say, "Taste it, and what does it need?" And we would say sugar or lemon or ginger, and that's how we did it. So it's going to be really difficult to give you any kind of coherent recipe for this. I will write down the recipe that I have in the description box below, but basically it was a taste and see if it tastes right deal. But let me show you the recipe. The ingredients are 1 can of pumpkin. Of course, when I was a kid we used a fresh pumpkin and it took a whole day to process it. So much easier to use a can of pumpkin, and that's what I do nowadays. 1 lemon, 6 eggs beaten, a quart of milk, a pound of sugar, and 1½ teaspoons of ginger. We mix the pumpkin and eggs, grate the lemon rind, and add to the mixture. Add half of the sugar and ginger, mix well, add half of the milk, and then you taste it, and you add sugar as needed, you add milk as needed. You fill the pie crust, sprinkle with cinnamon before baking. You bake on the bottom shelf until the edges are brown, and then change it to the top shelf until the center is firm. No, there is no temperature here, and I usually do it in a fairly hot oven. I do it around 375. I'm using a 15-ounce can of pumpkin. I usually use the bigger one and make tons of pies, but this year I'm just using a small one. Since it's a smaller can of pumpkin, I only put in 4 eggs instead of 6. Now that the pumpkin and eggs are mixed up together, I'm going to grate the rind of 1 lemon and put in. Do not put the lemon juice in, it will ruin the pie. You just need the lemon rind, and you may not need the whole lemon. Just see how much rind you get off the lemon. I used almost all the rind, but not quite all of it. And here is, if you'll focus, in here, and now I'm going to mix that in. Now this is the hard part, adding the sugar. Right now I've put in, this will be the 3rd scoop of sugar, and then I mix it in and see if that's enough or if I need more. I do the same with the ginger. This is a teaspoon. I might need more, I might not. To add the milk, I pour it into the empty pumpkin can and fill it up. Stir it up to get all this extra pumpkin off, and then add that to the mixture. Okay, I've added all the milk in, mixed it up, and I tasted it just a little bit. It definitely needs more sugar, and I'm also going to add in a little bit more ginger. The trick is you don't add much. You add a little bit at a time. You can always add more, but you can't take it away. I added more sugar and more ginger, and I went back and added more lemon rind, and it's still, I don't know what's wrong with it. I just don't know. And that's the thing with old recipes like this. Sometimes, because there's no set measurements, you just can't put your finger on what it is. So I'm going to bake this up, and we'll see how it is when I take it from the oven. I'm sure it will be good, but it just isn't quite right. Here it is, ready to go into the oven. I put cinnamon on top. I have enough for another little pie over here. I'm going to get that ready. I've gotten them both in, and now they will bake for an hour. It's finished. It's been cooling for half an hour, but it's still kind of warm. But Joe and I can't wait, so I'm going to cut a piece for each of us. Put it on your plate. It looks good. Okay, let's taste it.
It does taste like your grandma's.
It's good, but it's not exactly the way it should be. Well, I taught myself a lesson. I really didn't like the pie when I first tried it because it just didn't taste right. But it was warm, and I put the pies in the fridge overnight. Tried it again yesterday morning, and it was so good and exactly how it should taste. So I taught myself, don't be in such a hurry. If I had let it cool, I would have known that they were perfectly good. So I'm going to have a piece of pie for lunch, and I hope you'll come back next time. See you then.